All right, let's make sure I unmute myself, and I'd like to go ahead and say hi to everybody out there joining us. We're probably still kind of clicking up the number of people, although I think a lot of people are probably going to Pennsic. So they might be still packing trailers like me. But we are here to talk about Pennsic, and we got a great crew of folks, and actually all of them are teaching some stuff at Pennsic, and we're going to talk about the kind of the SCA Coach's Corner Symposium we put in the first week of Pennsic. And when I say the first week, we're talking from Tuesday, starting at noon to 4 o'clock, running all the way through 5, through Friday. And we're going to have classes every hour through all of those days. And we're going to go ahead and present them in this episode. I'd like to thank Sir Guillaume, Sir Sivrid, Duke Valhric, Jarl Randall, and Duchess Antigone for coming, not only here for the show because it's last minute and I know everybody's busy, but also for agreeing to teach at the symposium the first week. Sometimes it's hard to line up people. It's a little harder this year because I really wanted to get away from the same people we had last year, although we will be filling in some different classes with those people just because there's always content to be covered. So tonight we're going to cover some of the content that we have out there. So Sivrid, go ahead and pop the kind of spreadsheet up, and you can see we're going to do a little bit of coverage the first day, kind of reviewing last year a little bit. We're going to go through some of our agility stuff, all 3 different classes we had. And then we have Duchess and Sir Tarek from Trimaris going to teach techniques at different ranges also that day. And we got an open time from 4 to 5. If I can find somebody in the early piece, we will try to fill that in with a different coach. Otherwise, we might just do a little bit of kind of add if and this is the place to do it. We're going to ask everybody to maybe give us something that you would like to see done at Pennsic, like a class. And we might try to fill these in with some of those classes. So, but let's go ahead and talk the agility. And Sivrid, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about it, as you were part of all of those last year. You're in mute.
Yeah, that would help. So the agility drills, those are ones we do using an agility ladder. So if you did basketball or football exercises to get your feet moving and also to get you moving around. So we start off with some fairly straightforward, simple drills that are more moving, just get your feet moving, get used to walking through the ladder. Learning then again how to do things a drop step and then some shuffle steps, some different side to side motion. Then we move into, and that's the first basic one, and a lot of that's also talking about how to position your body so that you keep your body stacked, how you keep your head over your hips, and how you move and conduct all of these drills with good body position. The second piece is going to then add in a little more rotational drills to it. So go through those same things, include some rotational movement, how you work with someone, how you do some of these drills so they're not just sitting by, just walking through the ladder forward, but moving forward, backwards, moving around like that. And then in the third part, we'll then increase. There's a whole set of rotational drills we're doing. That will add in really, and then also some drills which are really only focused on getting your feet moving, getting your feet agile and quick. So those are going to be the set there that are more just getting your feet moving quickly. They're not necessarily things specifically that you'll use in the fight, but they'll help get your feet moving, small feet. So a lot of this is about not making massive foot movements, but getting yourself used to, so you're not thinking about what your feet are doing while you're fighting, but you can move with good controlled movement with your foot in the right place as you move through your fight, and you can focus on something else rather than just your feet.
Awesome.
So, quick comment there. While we're on the subject of the footwork, I'm glad to see we're starting off with that because it's foundational for so much of the other stuff in the later classes. And so it's really good to reinforce that. We did the classes last year. We're doing them again. You're able to go back and watch the videos, but if you're going to be at Pennsic, please come out and join in person and be able to walk through it with the coaches present and get that additional information. And it's really going to be helpful for a lot of the other things that we're going to cover.
Yeah, I think a big part of this is even if you've done them last year and you know, really hopefully you kept doing them. We do them pretty much at least once a week, sometimes both practices a week. There's always little fixes that can be done. So if you did them last year, come on back and, you know, maybe it's time to get the tweaks you need to make sure that you're doing them correct and you get a better understanding of how to do them. So we'll be out there answering questions. We're probably going to actually come out. There's been a couple of people asked if we can come out a little early and do some warm-up stuff, including some agility every day. So probably around 11:30, we'll go out there and set up. We'll spray ladders on the ground and do a little bit of agility work. So if anybody has questions, that was a bread and butter piece through COVID, and there's a lot of great people that know how to answer questions there. So, and then once again, you know, I don't know how many people had a chance to really meet Duke Kern. He's from Trimaris. I tell you, he is very good. First, I'm gonna say that I just got a chance to fight him not this year at Golf Wars, but last year. But also he's kind of a constant student, which really is an amazing thing to see. So by being a constant student, the best part is you tend to understand a lot more when you get into teaching others. So I'm really hoping and looking forward to his classes. So this is one of the 2 classes he'll be teaching. All right, let's shoot to day 2 here. So day 2, we got, I had somebody ask, again, we have a 1 hour period that's open. We'll probably be able to fill that in relatively easy as we get there. Day 2, somebody asked, we offered a spear class with Sir Barry last year. But somebody asked me to teach the spear class that I've been teaching for a long, long time. The spear class I teach tends to be a little bit more geared on line combat, which we tend to do a lot more in melee. So this isn't the heroic spear god gets to do all kinds of crazy stuff. This is, I have another 5 spears and 2 spears next to me, and we are going to work nice and tight in formation, talk between each other, make sure that we're talking, you know, understanding of what we're going to be doing, if that's snatch and throws, if that's high lows. We're going to talk a lot about positioning. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. So that's what that class is about. Should be fun. Something I worked on for a long time at our practices, and we keep working on those all the time. Then Sir Sivrid is going to be doing a class, and this was actually, I'm happy she's doing this class. It was a class done, it's actually developed for her. It was a drill for her, lead follow. And and she's adding some other twist to it, which is really good. But early off, and it's not even that early off in her career, she happens to fight at, you know, a relatively good practice. So she always thought, when we're like, hey, you gotta, you know, you got to take the initiative. You got to be more aggressive. And I hate that word, by the way. This isn't about aggression. It's about initiative. And she'd do things that she thought were, you know, doing the things we asked her to do. And then we'd say it again, and she's like, I'm doing it, you know, and she got very frustrated. And it came because, well, first you got a bunch of Dukes there that don't know how to not be in the initiative or fight for the initiative constantly. I'll raise my hand because I was doing that. So we took this and broke this down to, and, you know, we started it actually relatively slow with 30-second rounds. And the first round, she got to be the follower. I got to be the initiator. And we would just do shadow boxing for essentially and kind of SCA shadow boxing, mostly footwork movements, control of the outsides, control of distance. We did that for 30 seconds. The next round, she was the initiator and I was the follower. And she got that experience, the ability to really understand what initiative is. And the more she understood it, really helped when we went into the third round. And that's where we essentially fought for initiative. We fought for position. And it really helped her. I'm really hoping she's added some other stuff, and I'm looking forward to her explaining this one at Pennsic. I think for a lot of people, and even up to, even up to mid-tier, this is an exercise that helps you understand when you're taking initiative, when you're giving initiative, how to control a fight. So this is a really good one to probably come through. After that, we have.
I was just going to add. Can I add really quickly? I really found that to be a really useful.
Anybody can.
When we did that exercise, when I started doing the exercise, it's really good. Helps you understand when you really are controlling the fight, when you're fighting for control. Because sometimes when you're fighting against, as you said, you're fighting against you or Rangvalder, it's hard to understand that. Well, I may think I'm controlling the fight, but we're fighting over control, or you're actually controlling the fight and letting me do something. And so I found that a really useful class on how to train to take initiative in fights across the board. So I would recommend that one. Yeah.
And Antigone, you probably have this issue a little bit at your practice from time to time.
Yeah, our practice is, I don't want to say it's super unique, but we definitely have some uncommon factors. So we have, multiple dukes and counts, high-end fighters that come to our practice, all the way down into the today is my first day newbies, and they're constantly coming in. So we have a very wide range of individuals, and so it's been very interesting watching a lot of people have to learn. My son's waving.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. Thank you. It's interesting watching people come up through the ranks and then turning from being the student to now kind of the mentor to the brand new people, and then learning how to level fight, learning how to when to let people come in and allow them openings versus I take every opening I want. So it's definitely something we experience a lot in our practice. And I don't want to say that we're as structural about it like this class would be. So I'm really excited to go to this class and kind of see how this is done, because I feel like we do it in a very unstructured way, and it would be really good to have a structured way.
Oh, awesome. Randall, you guys ever cover any kind of this idea?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we definitely had a fresh influx of newer fighters, which is I find really helpful for me to stay grounded in my fundamentals. When I'm teaching guys the basics, it's when I remember, oh, I'm not doing this thing that I'm telling him he has to do or she has to do. Note to self. But yeah, in line with that, it's always nice to have a wide swath. But I agree. I think that I come from a fencing background, modern fencing, when I was a kid, and my fencing coach was big on being a good practice partner and making sure that when you're fighting an opponent that you're trying to help grow, that we try to stay about 10 to 15% better than them. So finding the fake openings to fake, finding the real openings to give. I'm very big on making sure that my guys I usually give big wide openings for new fighters, because I find that they're afraid to hit or they'll throw it right in the middle of your shield. I'm just like, I didn't move my shield. My head was wide open, and you threw a shot right in the middle of my shield. Get rid of Hollywood. We're here to kill. Hey, and make me move this bad boy. Just stuff like that. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. All right. So our next class after that is another occurrence class, and that's combat deception. And I'm gonna, this is one I'm not 100% sure what he's covering, but I think a lot of it's covering angles that you're in. I use a little bit of combat deception in. We used to do a lot of pushing hard on angles. Now I use what I kind of call these, and they have it in boxing as well, is shadow, a bit of a shadow angle. And what that is instead of taking a large step to the side where your opponent gets to see it, you're sometimes pushing on one side and just sliding your foot out, a degree or two, so that when you stand back up, they're just a little bit off, and sometimes you're outside their sword, their angles change, their defense changes, and their throwing changes without them really understanding what's happening. So and he's talking angles and timing and position. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing what else he covers in that class. I think it would be a really good one. Again, this is, one of those classes that's good for everybody. A lot of times we look and, we think classes are for new people. And I tell you, I still learn so much at classes, and I love attending classes. Sometimes I learn how to teach better. Sometimes I just learn something, and even if I can't do it, I show other people I believe can do it. So, this is a great chance to come out and take a look at that. We've had a lot of Dukes and others, including Royal Peers, join us last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then Guillaume, you're covering one of my favorite topics, and I'm going to probably jump in this class with you a little bit. Sure. And that's it's really what we used to call list, what boxing calls list management. But Guillaume wanted to make sure.
I've heard ring generalship also, and so that's another way of looking at it.
Exactly.
My only concern with list management is that it sounds like we're talking about how to run a list table, which is not what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
We're talking about how to use the list as part of your fight, how to use the space, how to control the space, applying pressure to your opponent, limiting your opponent's options, and working them against the edges of the list and into the corners to be able to keep them limited on what they can do and have them reacting to you. And it comes into, I like how this day is stacked, because it builds off of the same things that it looks like Kern is going to cover. It builds off of the same things that Sive is going to cover. And so it's all going to work together as a whole, I think, in covering these three different classes. But there's a number of techniques that we're going to talk about in trying to maintain that awareness in the list, and how to know where you are relative to the sides of the ropes so that you're not going back into the ropes. How to continue to keep pressure on your opponent using different techniques with foot position, body position, weapon position, and the proper distance to try and maintain to be able to keep pressure on the opponent without overextending yourself and getting yourself in trouble. And so there's a number of different pieces that are going to go into this to talk about the whole thing. And I also want to cover some of the reasons to try this in the first place, and some of the things that people do without really applying this, and sort of looking at how you want to, the things that you want to try and stay away from, and why we're trying to apply this. Like, if you're staying in the center of the ring, neither one really has advantage as far as position goes, because both fighters have the full space to be able to work and keep that open. And so applying pressure and containing your opponent and making them react to you. And so it feeds into that same idea of initiative and pressure. And as I was putting the class together, we were practice on Sunday and watching Brannos fighting without a list in our normal practice, and working with one of the fighters. And I'm watching a master class of the class that I have to teach, of him just keeping that pressure on and keeping the angles to be able to keep his opponent contained, reacting to him, and limited options. It looked as if his opponent had no room to throw, and they're in a wide open space. And so that's a lot of what the intent of the class is about, is to be able to present how to do that, and using all of those different techniques from the other courses to be able to put it into a whole, to be able to manage that space within the list and control that space as a part of the fight and as a part of the initiative.
Awesome. Yeah, it's almost like I put that day together on purpose. Not. That would have took a lot more thinking than what I had, I guess. But I'll take that. So, and then the next day is Thursday, day 3. I just got answers back from Duke Timothy from Ethelmark, and he's going to teach 10 techniques for intermediate fighter. So I'm looking forward to actually getting a chance to go through his class. He does so much at his house. He's done so many short TikToks. He's done so many different videos on his fight style. It's going to be great to have him as a teacher this year. So I'm hoping he not only kind of joins us this year, but in future years, and maybe some more episodes itself. So after that, we had the herd system of mechanics of armored combat. You want to cover this one?
Yeah, sure. I'm teaching it, so probably,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
So this class is very similar to what has been taught in the past, which is mechanics for small fighters. And Brannos, when I said, hey, this is, kind of the list of things that I feel confident in teaching, that was on there. And he said, well, isn't that just for everybody? And I was like, well, technically, yes, everyone can benefit from these mechanics. It doesn't matter what size you are. But we packaged it as small fighters because we really wanted to attract the smaller fighters, because we felt like, smaller fighters need to have very clean, perfect mechanics, and they need better mechanics and kind of a more complete fundamental than, say, your 300-pound, 6'2" guy needs, guy, girl. But and so that's kind of how we packaged it, because we were trying to reach that audience specifically. But this is for anybody. It doesn't matter what size you are. And so then he asked me, well, what do we call it? And I was like, well, I don't know. So we just packaged, I just slapped our household name on it and just said, let's just go with that for this year. So that's what we're rolling with. But this mechanic was, and all the fundamentals in theory was all geared towards a 2-weapon style fighting. That's what it was developed for. It still works for sword and shield, but that being said, it is primarily for more of a 2-weapon styles, but we have found it incredibly successful for even single weapon style. So really excited to teach that again this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Sorry, Brannos.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you say 2-weapon style. Are you talking like 2 swords or similar type of weapons, or would a Madu be part of that as far as
Madu? We have found that Madu is a part of it as well.
Okay.
So 2 swords, sword and dagger, Madu. I guess you could maybe use 2 axes. I think I've only seen one person that really do that, but the same sort of idea and concept is that you don't have a large blocking surface in one of your hands. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. So, and then we have, after that class, we got a kind of His Majesty West is going to be doing a lecture on fundamentals of fighting. Hopefully we'll have the tent that they use for large combat catapults and things like that. The Marshall tent, they don't usually set that up until Thursday. So hopefully we'll be able to use that for that and stay out of the sun and have a real good exchange. We actually had a couple of lectures last year. I wasn't sure how they were going to go, and they actually went really well. Lots of people, lots of questions, and people got engaged. Duke Morgan's was very good. He covered some topics and had some really hard questions that he answered really well. So I'm looking forward to His Majesty's class or his lecture on this one. And then I just noticed that Valhric, I didn't put any description on what you're doing. So you got a free reign to do whatever you want. So the name of Val's class is Thrusting Techniques, Life or Death. So, all right, take yourself off of mute.
I did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So this is going to be one of the first times I've ever taught anything, and I've really been breaking down what I do personally to better understand it and to teach it. And in this class, we've got the main objective is to teach the tactical and mechanical skills to execute effective thrusting with sword and shield weapon system. We're going to do some things where we learn how to put your opponent in the best position to execute the thrust. We're going to talk about using probes and fakes and pulls. We're going to touch on ring control, because that's very important in setting up a proper thrust and making sure that your opponent can't evade it. We're going to talk about angles of attack. We're going to talk about body mechanics and how you can actually create a powerful thrust. a lot of people really rely on just these kind of very light jabs when they throw a thrust. And yeah, that's great if you're going to hit somebody in the face. But if you're trying to strike a skilled opponent in the body or the hip, and have them understand that they've been hit, that takes a lot more body mechanic than wrist. We're going to talk about timing and execution, power generation. I think I said that already. How to force your enemy to give up their defense, collapsing their guards, how to recover from when you do a really nice lunge and you miss your target, how to get back to a decent place, how to create some preloaded attacks that you're set for when the targets appear, and then we're going to talk about some interesting things and weird situations like body type and shield shape and speed and my favorite, anatomical precision. So that's kind of what I got. What I really, really want people to take away from this class is I want them to come away with it from the class understanding that the tip of the weapon is as dangerous and as deadly as the blade, and it needs to be taught, respected, and used in a way that that brings a new dimension into your fight.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing how the class is coming together. I know we spent the good part was we spent a little bit of time while I was not doing great. Val came up and helped me out on a bunch of stuff, and so we got to spend a little bit of time kind of going over how to build a class, and his outline looks great. I look forward to seeing how that goes, and then looking forward to some of the other classes we talked about that you should probably come up with. So after that, although I need to go add some content to the description, we have the importance of rhythm, kind of finding your beat. This one I'm going to be covering. This is we did an episode on this, and I thought it went really well. Most really top fighters have some type of beat they tend to go through, and if you're a musician like Sivrid, yeah, he even goes into more, how many parts of the beat and things like that, just because that's what they have to understand. For us people who don't have that background, that beat is essentially a rhythm that you get into in your movement, in what you present. Not all the time do you stay in that rhythm. You have to break from it. Otherwise, your opponent can start figuring out. But the idea is to build a rhythm. And rhythm does not only cover your movement, but it also covers your breathing. As you're in a rhythm, you learn how to breathe better. It's like becoming a really good runner. You build a rhythm. And even if you change the speed of that rhythm, right, you learn how to breathe within the rhythm that you're doing. So that breath becomes a lot less thought about, and it's natural. It comes a lot less from your chest and goes down to in your stomach. So there's a number of great pieces about rhythm, but you can watch any great boxer, and they have a rhythm to them, and they're trying to pull you into their rhythm, trying to get you into their fight. You hear announcers talk about that all the time. And we're going to talk about that because I think it's very important to find that place you're comfortable. You hear people, and me and Sivrid talked about it, you hear people who are like, they haven't figured it out, and they're thinking about a million things, and they're like, just start thinking about a song. And then all of a sudden that kind of relaxes them, and it pulls them into the rhythm of that music. And a lot of times that helps them actually get out of overthinking. It gets them into a rhythm that they can flow inside of. So all of these things, we're going to talk about those things, and hopefully that'll help. I think just people understanding rhythm in what we do is important because we don't talk about it much. So if you haven't had a chance, go take a look at our episode. It was just in the last few weeks. And we talked a little bit about it there. We'll talk more at Pennsic, and we'll add some drills and things like that to it. All right. And we're on to the last day here. Last day, I actually have a little bit of opening at the end of the day. Mostly left that because usually about the last day, we have a lot of people from out west coming in. We have a lot more people arriving like on Thursdays and things like that. And I'm hoping to be able to actually pull some folks with that experience from out west, because I want to see, although I'm open, if you have a class that you think is important to people, just ping me and we can talk about it. But I like pulling in classes like this because you get to see a view that is 1,000 miles away sometimes. And that share is very important. The more, we're a big society, and the more you get views from other people from different areas, the better fighter you get to be. And even if you don't do what they say, you still get an opportunity to understand how they think and what they do. And not only does it build a better camaraderie between, both sides of the world or both sides of the country, but it also builds a better fundamental understanding within you when you do actually go fight those people. So I left a couple of hours open at the end of the day. But the first class is going to be awesome. I got to put a couple of descriptions in these things. I made a Madu. I ripped the part of it off. I got to put the tip back on the top, and I am looking forward to this class.
Oh boy. Well,
everybody wants to see me with a Madu.
It's not your fault. There's not a description there. I was lax and did not send you one, so that was on me. It's not your fault this time.
Can I just say that we're excited for you taking this class? This is probably our best chance to ever get stick on you.
Or I just get more days.
It's like 70 Dukes just fighting Brannos once and then leaving. Like, oh, great guys.
No, so Madu is becoming more and more popular throughout the SCA. We have seen rule changes that have kind of helped this in different kingdoms where they had very stringent rules. They've kind of lifted them to allow more Madus, and not just one kind of Madu, but different Madus. And this is going to cover anything that is a sticky on a stick with one hand. So this will be your Madu with a shield, your Madu with a cup hilt, your broken spear, anything of that nature, as long as it has a stabbing tip on the bottom at the minimum. That is what we will be covering in this. And this is an introductory class, mostly because vast majority of people that are interested in Madu are very new to it at this point. There aren't a whole slew of later high-end Madu fighters. There are a handful, of course, as we know, Zip, Gabe, Bela, as well as Valentine and a couple of others. But so what we really want to do in this class is kind of introduce everybody to the different options of what is out there on the market, so to speak, how they work, what their pros and cons are, and then what are some of the basic fundamentals of how does this work. And that being that Madu is an offensive and defensive weapon. There really aren't a whole lot of weapons out there that function in that way. And so it does add a lot of complexity into the fighting style. And that complexity often throws people off if they don't fight against Madus, which is the reason why you have a lot of people say it's a gimmick or something of that nature. And that's because, well, it's just a different fighting style and a different weapon type that people aren't used to. Once you become used to it, it's really not a gimmick. It's just like anything else out there. So I'm really excited to teach this. Helga asked me to build this class a year ago. I taught it impromptu at Gulf War, so I'm really excited to have it on the schedule and bring more visibility and commonality into Madu. And we get to see Brannos use a Madu. So
that's right, and get my butt whipped. It's going to be awesome. Randall's gonna be out there. He's like, "Oh,
that's a trap. That's a trap." He's been practicing. This is I smell a rat.
I'm old. It takes me longer to learn now.
Right, old slow Duke.
Okay. Well, I really am looking forward to that. I was happy you thought of it. I'm like, oh, I think that's a perfect class. I tell you, I've been fighting lots of Madu people and top guys for last 3 or 4 years because I just, man, I was struggling with them. I still struggle with it some, but you know, the more you play, the more you understand, and it's more you learn, and it's just a joy getting some opportunity to do that. And you know, a lot of those guys are really good guys. So, you know, as much as you may not like Madu, the people, some of the people using them are top notch, and they understand what they're doing. Gabe understands. I've talked to him a lot about, you know, his drill structures that he uses. He uses circular ladders. He does all kinds of stuff because he doesn't have the practice as close to him as he would like. And he's a super hard worker. He's not good at it because it's a Madu. He's good at it because he's a good martial artist. So, so it should be great.
You make a good point.
What's that?
You make a good point that even if you hate Madu, come out to the class and learn what people are doing with it, so you can learn how to fight against it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing that we'll cover is, if once you understand kind of the fundamentals and basic concepts of how it works, then it becomes a lot easier to plan your defensive structure around it, or what to expect, and it's a lot easier to fight them. And I feel like once people have that, there's going to be a lot less hate for the weapon style, and which I don't want. I don't want people to hate a weapon style. People should be allowed to do what they want to do that's fun, and have a good time. So let's all learn about it.
Yeah, it's I think it's important because you're going to fight them. So get out there, understand it. The more you understand, the better you're going to be. And the more you understand what they're doing, and again, this goes back to, you know, at the end of the day, you can not maybe like Madu, but you know, we're both combatants on the field, and you got to give respect where respect is. So, all right, Tim has one actually after this one, Duke Timothy, that I'm kind of interested in checking out too. I might actually have to throw my buckler in the car. And this one is binds and jams with buckler. And if you've ever seen, Tim fights a lot of buckler, and it's amazing. You know, he'd be fighting guys with 3/4 shields, warboard practically, and with his buckler, and he's inside fighting. And it's amazing to watch how well he does. So I'm kind of interested in how his thought complex is around it. So I thought I'd never seen a class like that. I think it's perfect. I've seen, you know, seen people teach buckler mostly around range. This one's going to give us a whole different idea. Randall, you're the last one of the day I got lined up. You look, you had to come here and listen to all of this crap just to get to you at the end.
Just put in Duke Sven from 3 to 4, call it suck less, and you know, call it a day.
That was the class.
that was
actually when he was coming, he had actually from 3 to 5. He was going to do a master class out there.
Nice.
And which is basically the Duke Sven suck less class. So, but you know, it's he's unfortunately not going to make it this year. And but you know, he definitely, I love all his stuff he does, and you know, it's I've had a chance to see him and go through a lot of those pieces for many years, and definitely worth doing. But you know, work and life is hell sometimes. I'm glad Antigone you can go at least. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you got to pick one, you know, yeah.
Yes, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right, so you're teaching concepts, principles of growth.
I'm teaching the most generic title because I've not ever done a class like organized before. Usually it's just me.
I know, isn't this fun?
Streams of consciousness.
I know we're going to actually pull you in. I'm going to probably pull Val too, and then Eli, who's going to spearhead the building of essentially a martial art class, or building of what we do. And to help coaches to kind of build, especially people that haven't built the class before, kind of a guideline to help them build out classes. So I'm totally going to pull you in on that one.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. I need all the help I can get.
Okay.
But to give a summary of what I'm looking at in terms of doing it, just giving basic background on spending 10 years as a completely mediocre fighter, what that looked like and how I was able to achieve mediocrity. And then what changed when I got tired of being a mediocre fighter, the things that I did differently, and the things that I see others sort of emulating to find similar success, how to approach actual growth, optimal growth. It's going to be the first part. The second part is going to be how I think a person should go about approaching a development of a personal style. I think it's very important is to know who you are as a fighter, what you bring to the table, what you don't bring to the table, because until you understand that, it's going to be harder for you to recognize what other people are doing as a fighter, which is part of the crucial exchange of the rock, paper, scissors evolution of what works and what doesn't work, what we need to fix and how we need to constantly refine. And then the last part, I don't believe in magic bullets, but if we were to take a shotgun shell, I believe you can find a few little magic pellets in there. And I'll be revealing some of the key discoveries that I made in terms of hand position, how I grip the weapon, what I do with my feet, what I do with my shield that have helped me make those big leaps, because you really have to pinpoint and very narrowly find your weaknesses as you get better in the game. And that can be harder to do. And I think that's one of the reasons we see, guys get knighted or have success and then sort of plateau, is just constantly, it becomes harder and harder to find the areas that we need to improve on, and how to stay hungry and how to put yourself in a position to, just maximize your hunger and drive, and putting yourself in a position to recognize and fix your own gaps.
Yeah, I think that's a great class. I think that's, again, you got a lot of coverage there, but I think these are things that people have to.
3 hours. I mean, as long as Sven's not going.
Yeah, that's true. Dude, maybe you got the master class.
Yeah.
There you go. Pick up his time.
There you are. So yeah, I think that I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that comes together, and there's a lot of I have a feeling going to have a lot of questions in there. And then just so we're covered, are you going to, obviously this is more than lecture. You're going to have them run through stuff. I'm
going to play that by ear, but having nothing behind me, like in terms of practice session, I am all about taking what we talk about and then going to the pickup field and breaking it down. Sorry, cat. Oh, we love him. We love Omar. Yes, we do. But he got jealous of Valhric. That's what happened. He saw Valhric with his.
That was probably it.
He's like, no, it happened on my watch. But yeah, I love going over practical stuff. And if students want to, I'm happy. I've been getting a lot of love on the videos, the coaching videos. So I'm happy to bring my camera out and also record some lessons with folks if they really want to do that and go over some core principles. Because I think you could teach somebody a lot, but if you make a fancy CapCut video with subtitles that they can watch over and over again, it really they're going to watch that 20 times. And that's really good for them.
Yeah. And I think, this is the best part. And one of the reasons where I really wanted to get you is you provided a lot of great video out there. And I'm looking forward to seeing more and more of you teaching, and especially all the little snips and stuff like that you've been doing. So if you bring that out, I think a lot of people will definitely appreciate it. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't mind getting and seeing what they're doing. So I think it's going to be great. And, and on that point this year, I bought some radios for mics that just clip on. So we're going to give those a try, see if we can fix a little bit of the sound. We're still going to be broadcasting these live and then dumping them back onto our YouTube pages after. We're pretty much doing that the same way as we did last year. Hopefully, Randall's been nice enough to talk to us a lot more about video stuff. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll upgrade our video pieces so that we can get better classes and and keep content coming and keep a place where people can go and find stuff, and that will help them. And that's the biggest piece I think we try to get to is we want to help everybody be better at what they do. Not only challenge yourself on the physical side, but on the mental side. Not only challenge the people that, are already at the top of the game, but now, like Valhric, are challenging them to teach classes and do that better, and to, kind of build stuff, content for people that's understandable. So, it's been a great project for the last, how long we've been doing this, 4 years or so. And, we got 2 new coaches with Randall and Antigone that are helping, and it brings freshness. We still have a lot of our old coaches that come back and do stuff, but it brings freshness, fresh ideas. I like it because for me, it's just more opportunity to learn from others. So.
Thank you all for inviting me. I've got to run. I've got a former squire who's delivering Pennsic stuff, and he's been waiting patiently for me. So,
okay, thank you, man.
But I'll see everybody at Pennsic. Everybody travel safe, and thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to working with folks.
Thanks, Randall.
Okay.
So
Brannos, we got
as a point. It's been 5.5 years that you've been doing the show.
Oh, 5.5 years. Yeah, only 5.5.
5.5. What's the difference?
That's 4. That's close. Maybe I need to get a math teacher to come out and teach. So
one thing that I did want to bring up, and there's several people we heard offline, is whether or not what kind of equipment you need for this, whether or not you need to be in gear or out of gear. And I know that I am currently injured, and I'm planning to go into a lot of these classes because I want to learn even out of gear. I know that some of them will probably have some ability to both do in gear and out of gear stuff. So even if you don't have gear, come out anyway. If you're out there doing pickups, come over and in your gear. And it's going to be available to do multiple things. Brannos, were you going to add a column or something like that to the chart that says what gear is expected, or if people have specific expectations?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we have a tab that's just specifically our symposium stuff and the stuff we did last year's and stuff. So I'll probably take that and we'll add a column in there about what if it's like Randall's maybe a little bit more hands-on, so that armor may be a good thing to have on that one. The good part is we're creative enough that even if you don't, we can line people on without armor and with foam swords. They're not going to throw at each other, but they can still practice and think about those techniques. There's a lot of shadow boxing used in boxing all the time. They rarely go out and pound each other full speed in practice ever. Some absolutely do not at all. And so, if they can do that there, then, we should be creative enough to be able to do that ourselves and still get a learning process there. So
last year, we definitely had a handful of people that came out that they did not have any of their gear, or they were just starting out. They didn't even have a sword, and they came out. And I think every class that I saw, they were able to get something out of it one way or another, be it, the lectures, or at least an introduction and knowledge of where they needed to start, or somebody let them borrow something. So you don't have to have anything to come to probably most of these. Some of these, it might be better, or you might get more out of it if you bring like your full armor or specific gear to you. But as far as I know, like last year, we didn't, everybody figured out a way around it. So.
Yep, I agree. And very few of them actually. I don't think we actually did a lot of sparring at all necessarily. I think most of the times people had foam, and we went through a lot of drills, and that's what drills are for. So, but if you do come out and people have armor, there's definitely opportunities there to maybe put yourself, build some cases where we can put you into a position to actually execute what we're talking about. And see it in live combat a little bit. So there are pieces that we that we can make the full experience out of. So, all right, I think we're running we're running towards the end. We have one last thing that goes on at Pennsic. We have a kind of an online episode at Pennsic, and it's actually going to be our 214th episode. Last year we did the Mind of the Fighter in West Royal. West Royal has asked if we wanted to come back and do it again. So I was like, hey, hell yeah. It was really nice just sitting down for, an hour and a half and talking to a lot of really good top end fighters. This year I threw a title on it. I have to still check because Jarl Thorfinn from the West is kind of setting this up. But I thought one opportunity to talk about would be, essentially knighthood, not the end. And I think this is just not for knights. This is for everybody to understand that, there's a lot of peerage conversations going on right now. And it's all about, this end, getting to the end of something, like get my peerage. And really what we learned is that it's not the end. It's really just like getting your black belt. It's a lot of times they call that the beginning. Congratulations. A lot of stuff. Now it's the beginning to understand how to put it all together. But that's always up to the person. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. And I thought that would be a good conversation. The good part also is, and Antigone, why don't you go ahead and bring it up? You posted it. I think this is, and it's a good post. I was like, yeah, that's 100% the truth.
Yeah, so one of the things that I personally love about Coach's Corner, as do a lot of the high-end fighters that come over, is that is where you're going to get your pickups at. So if you are a one-on-one fighter or you want to find specific people to work with you on pickups or focus on something, or you just want to try and see what all is out there, this is the place to do it as well. It's not just classes. There's pickups that run all day. And usually a lot of times people will pull off whatever coach was teaching and have them come show them on the field or do pickups with them and stuff like that. So if you're not interested in one of the classes, or you really want to get in some one-on-one fighting, this is going to be the place to do it as well. And also a great way to introduce yourself to people to get pickups. If you have kind of a shy personality and have troubles kind of asking people, the classes will be a great way to kind of segue into that. So
nailed it. I love it. All right. So we got a full kind of schedule. I know there's a couple open spots. We'll try to fill those in. We'll keep those popping on the page as we're going along. So as people are watching, we a lot of times live stream the pickup fighting going on all day, and Antigone's 100% correct. If you look, most of these people that are teaching something are only teaching one thing a day. They're not coming out for an hour and then going back to the camp. They're coming out, hanging out. If you're doing pickups after the class and you want to talk to them and ask them questions and you want to have them watch you and give you some feedback, this is the perfect time to do those kinds of things. So, I called this a seminar because I didn't want to call it classes, because it really is a seminar, and a seminar engages not only I'm going to feed you information, but the ability to actually try to execute some of that information. So, and that's really what I'm hoping that we get the chance to see. And I'm really hoping we get the chance to see more of that. My real goal in the far future is to have some camera folks that can just wander around, and when coach is helping somebody on the pickup field and has a 5-minute little, hey, try this, or this is what you did type of timing, where you get some of the best advice, is have some cameramen that can go over there and say, hey, do you mind if I shoot it? And then we get little 5-minute blips. And I think those are really important. I think sometimes those are even more important than classes are. Hopefully in the future, as we get better at this and as we get more helpers, we'll keep expanding, and hopefully we keep having people come to it. So, all right. Anybody else like to say anything before we kind of wrap it up?
I'd like to say, as I said, I'm really looking forward to the classes since I don't get to fight this year. So I'm hoping to get something out of it this way. And this is a good way to get out and actually stay engaged.
Yeah. I think that's one of the best parts is you don't have to, this could be a year that you didn't bring armor because you are hurt. And these type of classes, even if you can't physically do any of it, you can still listen and learn. So, come on out, listen, learn. That's why we're there. So.
Well, and on top of that, network. You get to meet a lot of people and make connections and be able to take those home with you and connect on Facebook or wherever else. And even if you're not able to fight now, you can connect with those people later and get a fight another time. So it's a great opportunity to meet more people outside your area as well.
I always like the streamer on the bottom.
It's like a lot.
The coaches have been hitting the head a whole lot, so we haven't run that one in a while. But it is true. And on that note, Antigone, thank you again for coming out and coaching, and we'll have you back for some more episodes. I'm going to probably try to throw together a coaches meet so that we can talk about more stuff to bring the folks in the future. But on that note, to the folks watching, send us in for, there's a form that you can fill in with ideas. We've actually done some of them. We still have some on our list, and we're hoping to get to more. But, everybody has something they may be wanting to work on or they may want to hear. If we've done it already, we'll send you a link to maybe some of the episodes that might help you. And otherwise, it might be a great episode idea. So we're always looking for stuff.
Just briefly, Brannos, Bess had a question about whether or not the seminars are going to be live streamed, and I believe that we are live streaming them all.
Yep. They'll be live streamed and then later put up on our YouTube page. So, and we'll actually have a post Pennsic episode covering some of the stuff we covered and some highlights of it. So, all right. Thank you again, everybody here, and thank you for everybody who showed up, gave us a little bit of their time tonight. I know it's a busy pre-Pennsic scenario, and that's hard sometimes, but we appreciate your time, and keep getting at it, and look forward to seeing you at Pennsic or after.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.